Learning outcomes. After studying this module, you shall be able to know about the characteristics of a strategic decision, understand min-spec modes of strategic decision making, would be able to understand the strategic decision process. Next, introduction. Approaches to strategic decision making. A strategic decision is defined as being important in terms of the actions taken, the resources committed, or the precedent set. The task of formulating, effecting, and executing the company's objectives requires strategic decisions that make the company sustain in the industry as well as stand above its competitors. The strategic decisions are at the very core of every organization. They form the very baseline on which an organization stands. Strategic decisions are concerned with creating an overall environment in which the organization can operate and create an interface between its resource set and the human capital. Strategic decisions are often confused with organizational and working decisions. It differs from the two. Administrative choices are repetitive judgments which help or somewhat enable strategic decisions or operative decisions. Operational decisions, on the other hand, are practical decisions which help implementation of strategic decisions. To decrease cost is a planned decision which is attained through operational decision of reducing the number of employees, and how we carry out these reductions will be administrative decision. Strategy is the direction and scope of an organization over the long term, which helps in achieving advantage for the organization through its configuration of resources within a dynamic environment to meet the market needs and fulfill stakeholder expectations. Mainly, strategic decisions have three characteristics. Rare. Strategic decisions are exceptional and normally have no preference to follow. That is, they are unequaled and are immensely vital for the organization. Consequential. Strategic decisions constrain considerable resources and demand a great deal of obligation from the human resources at all levels. Directive. Strategic decisions set precedents and serve as exemplar for smaller decisions and forthcoming actions through the organization. The above stated features can be further fragmented into other obtained characteristics. These include long-term direction. Strategic decisions are likely to affect the long-term direction of an organization. They provide the organization with a direction for long term and make the organization more futuristic towards setting a layout for accomplishing the goal that the organization thrives to achieve ultimately. They deal with the future of the organization. Strategic decisions are irrevocable. Next, complex and uncertain in nature. This is the feature that distinguishes strategic management from management in general. Strategic decisions usually involve a higher degree of uncertainty. It involves taking decisions regarding the future which has an element of uncertainty attached to it. Managers taking the decisions might not always be sure about the perceptions that they are following while making these decisions. Strategic decisions demand an integrated approach to managing the organization. It is not like functional decision whereby a problem can be sorted by one particular expert. There are different perspectives that need to be looked upon while deciding upon a problem. Managers need to cross functional and operational boundaries to deal with strategic problems and come to accord with other managers having different interests and different ways to look into things. This might lead to the problem of integration, which almost exists in all management decisions but is very particularly troublesome for strategic decisions. Also, strategic decisions involve major changes in organizations. Not only is it problematic to decide upon and plan such changes, it is even more problematic to implement such changes. Strategic management therefore involves a higher order of complexity than operational task. Next, affected by values and expectations of top stakeholders. The values and expectations of those who have power in and around the organization have a great deal in influencing the strategic decisions. Strategy in some or the other way reflects the attitudes and beliefs of its stakeholders. The beliefs and values of these stakeholders are bound to have a direct influence on the organization. Next, considers factors in the firm's external environment. Strategy involves matching the activities of an organization to the environment in which it operates. Strategic decisions deal with agreeing structural response proficiencies with the threats and opportunities so as to attain the maximum. Strategy can also be seen as stretching an organization's resources and competencies to generate opportunities or capitalize on them. It is not just about contradicting environmental threats and taking benefit of environmental opportunities, but almost matching organizational means to these threats and opportunities. There would be little point in trying to take advantage of some new opportunity if the resources needed were not available or could not be made available, or if the strategy was rooted in an adequate resource base. Next, resource implications. Strategic decisions require an organization to reconfigure its resource set and human resources and to harmonize them in a manner that would assist in implementing the strategic decision in the most viable way. Strategic decisions have implications on decision as to how and when the resources are to be obtained, organized and allocated. Strategies want to be measured not only in terms of the range to which the current resource base of the organization is favorable to the environmental opportunities, but also in terms of the extent to which resources can be made available and controlled to develop a future strategy. Strategic decisions have major resource propositions for an organization. These decisions may be concerned with having new resources, organizing means or reallocating resources. Next, defines the scope of firm. The possibility of activities defines the way in which managers understand the boundaries of an organization. Strategic decisions are possible to be anxious with the scope of an organization's activities. It is very much material to know the scope of activities that an organization operates, to know the boundaries of those who are managing the organization. Does and should the organization focus on one area of activity, or does it have many? The issue of scope of activity is fundamental to strategic decisions. It is to do with what they want the organization to be like and to be about. The strategic decisions not only defines the scope of the organization, but also draw its characteristics from its scope of the organization. Next, affect operational decision. Strategic decisions are dissimilar from administrative and operational decisions. Administrative decisions are routine decisions which help, or rather facilitate, strategic decisions or operational decisions. Operational decisions are technical decisions which help execution of strategic decisions. To reduce cost is a strategic decision which is achieved through operational decision of reducing the number of employees, and how we carry out these reductions will be administrative decision. The characteristics of strategic management decisions vary with the level of strategic activity considered. The decisions at the corporate level tend to be more value oriented, more conceptual and less concrete than decisions at the business or functional level. Corporate level choices are often considered by greater risk, cost and profit potential, superior need for elasticity and extended time horizons. Such choices contain the choice of businesses, dividend policies, sources of long-term financing and priorities for growth. Functional level decisions implement the overall strategy formulated at the corporate and business levels. They involve action-oriented operational issues and are relatively short range and low risk. Functional level decisions incur only modest cost because they are dependent on available resources. Business level decisions help bridge decisions at the corporate and functional levels. Such decisions are less costly and risky and potentially profitable than corporate level decisions, but they are more costly, risky and potentially profitable than functional level decisions. Strategic issues require top management decisions. Strategic issues require large amounts of the firm resources. Strategic issues often affect the firm's long-term prosperity. Strategic issues are future-oriented. Strategic issues usually have multifunctional or multi-business consequences. Strategic issues require considering the firm's external environment. Next, the differences between strategic, administrative and operational decisions. Strategic decisions. Strategic decisions are long-term decisions. Administrative decisions are taken daily. On the other hand, operational decisions are not frequently taken. Next, strategic decisions are considered where the future planning is concerned. Administrative decisions are short-term based decisions. Operational decisions are medium period based decisions. Strategic decisions are taken in accordance with organizational mission and vision. Administrative decisions are taken according to strategic and operational decisions. On the other hand, operational decisions are taken in accordance with strategic and administrative decision. Strategic decisions are related to overall counter planning of all organization. Administrative decisions are related to working of employees in an organization. On the other hand, operational decisions are related to production. Strategic decisions deal with organizational growth. On the other hand, administrative decisions are in welfare of employees working in an organization. Operational decisions are related to production and factory growth. According to Henry Mintzberg modes of strategic decision making, the three most typical approaches or modes of strategic decision making are entrepreneurial, adaptive and planning. A fourth mode, logical incrementalism, was added later by Quinn. Entrepreneurial mode. Strategy is made by one powerful individual. The focus is on opportunities. Problems are secondary. Strategy is guided by the founder's own vision of direction and is exemplified by large, bold decisions. The dominant goal is growth of the corporation. Amazon company, founded by Jeff Bezos, is an example of this mode of strategic decision making. The company related Bezos' vision of using the internet to market books and more. Although Amazon's clear growth strategy was certainly an advantage of the entrepreneurial mode, Bezos' eccentric management style made it difficult to retain senior executives. Adaptive mode, sometimes referred to as muddling through the decision-making mode, is characterized by reactive solutions to existing problems rather than a proactive search for new opportunities. Much bargaining goes on concerning priorities of objectives. Strategy is fragmented and is developed to move a corporation forward incrementally. This mode is typical of most universities, many large hospitals, a large number of governmental agencies and a surprising number of large corporations. Encyclopedia Britannica Inc. operated successfully for many years in this mode, but it continued to rely on the door-to-door selling of its prestigious book long after dual career couples made that marketing approach obsolete. Only after it was acquired in 1996 did the company change its door-to-door sales to television advertising and internet marketing. The company now charges libraries and individual subscribers for complete access to Britannica.com and offers CD-ROMs in addition to a small number of its 32-volume print set. Next is planning mode. This decision-making mode involves the systematic gathering of appropriate information for situation analysis, the generation of feasible alternative strategies and the rational selection of the most appropriate strategy. It includes both the proactive search for new opportunities and the reactive solution of existing problems. IBM under CEO Lewis Gessner is an example of the planning mode. When Gessner accepted the position of CEO in 1993, he realized that IBM was in serious difficulty. Mainframe computers, the company's primary product line, was suffering a rapid decline both in sales and market share. One of Gessner's first action was to convene a two-day meeting on corporate strategy with senior executives. An in-depth analysis of IBM's product lines revealed that the only part of the company that was growing was services. But it was a relatively small segment and not very profitable. Rather than focusing on making and selling its own computer hardware, IBM made the strategic decision to invest in services that integrated information technology. IBM thus decided to provide a complete set of services from building systems to defining architecture to actually running and managing the computers for the customers, regardless of who made the products. Because it was no longer important that the company be completely vertically integrated. It sold off its DRAM, disk drive and laptop computer businesses and existed software application development. Since making this strategic decision in 1993, 80% of IBM's revenue growth has come from services. Logical incrementalism, a fourth decision-making mode, can be viewed as a synthesis of the planning, adaptive, and to a lesser extent the entrepreneurial mode. In this mode, top management has a reasonably clear idea of the corporation's mission and objectives. But in its development of strategies, it chooses to use an interactive process in which the organization probes the future, experiments and learns from a series of partial incremental commitments rather than through global formulations of total strategies. Thus, although the mission and objectives are set, the strategy is allowed to emerge out of debate, discussion and experimentation. This approach appears to be useful when the environment is changing rapidly and when it is important to build consensus and develop needed resources before committing an entire corporation to a specific strategy. In his analysis of the petroleum industry, Grant described strategic planning in this industry as planned emergence. Corporate headquarters established the mission and objectives but allowed the business units to propose strategies to achieve them. Some strategic decisions are made in a flash by one person, often an entrepreneur or a powerful CEO who has a brilliant insight and is quickly able to convince others to adopt his or her idea. Other strategic decisions seem to develop out of a series of incremental choices that over time push the organization more in one direction than other. According to Henry Mintzberg, the three most typical approaches or mode of strategic decision making are entrepreneurial, adaptive and planning. First, entrepreneurial mode. Strategy is made by one powerful person. Focus on opportunities and problems are secondary. Strategy is guided by the founder's own vision of direction and is exemplified by large, bold decisions. Dominant goal is growth of organization. For example, Chaudhary Group, Bhat Bhatyani. Next, adaptive mode. This decision-making mode is characterized by reactive solution to existing problems rather than proactive search for new opportunities. Focuses on existing problems rather than searching for new opportunities. Strategy is fragmented and it is developed to move the organizational incrementally. Examples: colleges, hospitals, government agencies, etc. Third, planning mode. This mode involves systematic gathering of information for situational analysis, the generation of feasible alternative strategies and the rational selection of the most appropriate strategy. It includes both proactive search for new opportunities and the reactive solution to existing problems. Example: Hewlett Packard. Now let us summarize. Strategic decisions are concerned with creating an overall environment in which the organization can operate, and create an interface between its resource set and human capital. Strategy is the direction and scope of an organization over the long term, which helps in achieving advantage for the organization through its configuration of resources within a dynamic environment to meet the market needs and fulfill stakeholder expectations. Rare. Strategic decisions are exceptional and normally have no preference to follow. That is, they are unequaled and are immensely vital for the organization. Consequential. Strategic decisions constrain considerable resources and demand a great deal of obligation from human resources at all levels. Directive. Strategic decisions set precedents and serve as exemplar for lesser decisions and future actions throughout the organization. Thank you.